Alright, I am so sorry, guys, that things are going not as planned as I was hoping, but we're up and running now. So tonight's show, that's new here, I go through and do two different locations. Thank you, David, for the repost. Two different locations every week, haunted locations. Tonight's going to be a little bit different. Yes, we're still going to talk about a haunted location. Yes, we're still going to do the like I normally would, but tonight's show is going to be also a little bit different than I normally would. So, first and foremost, updates. Updates, updates. Updates is always first for my priority now here recently. After tonight's show, next week is Haunted Memoirs' last episode for the season, and I'm thinking about taking a full complete year off. Just only because I want to revamp the show a little bit. So I want to be able to have an intro video for a show. I want to be able to try to build my audience a little bit more on things. So yeah, I have two more shows booked for the rest of the two more shows booked and one more investigation. I got a show with you know, just like the background. Good friends made it me. Alright, guys, I'm gonna have to just shut this. If I don't look at it, maybe if I don't look at it, it will work. Weird, but anyway. So before I got cut off, next week is the last week. I got two more shows booked. I got a show booked, an investigation booked, and I will go back over that location right before. So no frets, no frets. But I am super excited. So something today that I was not expecting until Monday, actually. And I'm super excited and I can't wait to read it. But I got my book today from my good friend Asa Swift. David, his real name is David, and he has written a couple different books. And he is a retired police officer in the 80s. And he has written Devil's Cabin and Dreams, and now this guy. It is signed. It is signed. So I'm so happy that it came. He said it. He sent it out. His son sent it out. I think it was yesterday, and it wasn't supposed to be here until Monday. But I got it today. I'm super excited to read it. But anyway, back on to what tonight's show was actually about. So, as we know, things happened at Para Unity this year, and I want to talk about something on a personal level with everybody that no one really knows about. Um, Unity in the contest, I ended up having a panic. If it wasn't for Asa, because he was there, pulling me away and dragging me to his booth, I don't know what would have happened. I was moments away from having to have my cousin that was with me call my boyfriend to come and get me because I was in that big of a panic attack. That was embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie. It was. It was really embarrassing to have it happen, and I don't make it known because we're not really nobody's business about what's in my personal life and everything. But when someone intentionally fears up and intentionally pushes you over to the limit of a panic attack, that's uncalled for, in my opinion. And you guys can disagree with me. I could probably leave followers this and it's her. But let's be real, a lot of people talk about these kinds of things and just again. I am a firm believer in if you don't treat others wrong. I'm a firm believer in treat others as you would like to be treated, or how that saying is goes. I have a huge heart. I love what I do. I love everybody that I've met in my field. Um, Thanks to pretty much Kennedy, I got invited to it. I wasn't for sure, but I decided to go to see if I could meet some people like me. I met some great people. That's where I met Asa. That's where I met Jeremy. I met quite a few others. And then I did meet a couple people that has really crushed my heart. And I have since now let go of that. But I wanted to talk about it because I don't agree with what happened and how and this person knew about my trip, knew my fear. And when I said no and I kept backing away, he just kept on. And it really did hurt so much because I wanted to see the good in people. I do. I really want to see the good in people. I don't want to see the bad in people, and I give any chances, I guess you could say. But at the end of the day, I rather see the good in somebody and try to see the good in somebody than to sit there and hold a grudge and be hateful and stuff. Because trust me, hold a grudge, but there's no sense in it. And when you are on a team, and I've said it before on a show that I used to do with a friend from a long time ago. Well, not too long ago, but a little bit ago. When you are on a team, don't don't expect your team members to just stay with your team. I have my history because that's what started me in the field. And I got onto teams and then it just didn't work out. When you're on a team or you have a team and a person wants to start their own thing, don't be all upset when they go out and do something themselves. You know, my grandma. Instead, support them in that. Be like, cool, you're doing your own thing. Cool. How can we help or how can I help? But getting upset because you're going to go, like your teammate is going out and making a name for themselves because they have their own thing going on. I honestly don't know. I don't know anymore. And I honestly did not want to take a year off, but I am because I want to be able to revamp Haunted Memoirs a little bit. I want to be able to do what I did at the beginning of the show, and clearly I just haven't been able to do that. So, but again, I my own stuff. I got my own, I book my own investigations. I do my own thing, and yes, I do have a friend. Um, the one that actually did the background. You guys joining me. Yeah. But I figured we were just gonna go do a more that I've already done for tonight. Only because, like I said, it's a different type of show tonight. Only because we only have two left. We have tonight and then we have next week. And then I will do a brief show, um, or something like that. A week before I do my investigation at the Kosciuszko County Jail. But since then, this season alone, we have done so many locations, and I have got to put the other ones down because I forgot to put the other ones down. But we have done so many locations. Oh, I took Logan Castle. I Logan Castle. So, yeah. Anyway, so again, we are going to talk about one of my favorite locations, and it's the Hannah House. Now, Hannah House every single year holds the Paranormal Festival, and Leah. I do not know how to pronounce her name, so I'm not gonna pronounce. I don't want to try to pronounce it and butcher her last name. But Olivia is the coordinator for that, and while yes, I might be taking a year off, um, the Paranormal Festival is probably one that I will go to. I will not be attending Fair Unity after, um, but the Paranormal Festival is what got me really started in doing my own show. Got me introduced to Para Unity. Got me introduced to everybody that I have worked with, and of course, Mr. Jeremy of Things Network. Um, And I was with that event in 21 with my mom. Sadly, she passed away. Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate it. Um, and my first year going to the Hannah house was on her birthday. So we're gonna do that because I did not get anything accomplished this week like I wanted to because of other things going on in my life. Just picked one out of my book bag, and I just like I honestly though it's like weird because trying to figure out what I was gonna do for this week. I could not think of it. Could not think of it. But hey, I got a location. Um, so I'm hoping to stay on for the 4 hours tonight. That'd be nice. And yes, Jeremy, I had technical difficulties at the beginning of the show, but it wouldn't be my show if I didn't have technical difficulties. All right. So most of us know the Hannah House. At least if you live in Indiana or around the Indianapolis area, you probably heard of the Hannah House. It was built by Alexander Hannah in 1858, and it had 24 rooms, or it has 24 rooms when it was built. He was Mr. Hannah himself was a respected civil leader who had a variety of interests that included farming and prospecting. He served as Indianapolis' South Side's community as sheriff, um, housemaster, circuit court clerk, and then a member of the General Assembly. He purportedly passionate about being a conductor on the Underground Railroad. So yes, Mr. Hannah was on an Underground Railroad. Didn't like how that was weird that there were slaves and everything. So he was with Lincoln. So the really cool thing about one of the fireplaces in the Hannah house came from somewhere where Hannah and Lincoln stayed at the time. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. He owned an extensive property in Marion County. He acquired 240 acres of land in the south of Indianapolis, and that's when the construction of the Hannah house began. It was in the Greek Revival. It was popular. It was the popular style back in the 1850s. Indianapolis Southport Toll Road crossed Hannah's property. Um, and so from 1860 to 1895, Hannah collected tolls from them and stuff. And so along his section of like the gravel surface road that was there, then the east west street south of his house still bears the name Hannah Avenue, and that is true. It's still named Hannah Avenue. So I can't remember the front of the house faces the east. It faces east. I'm so sorry. And that's the main road. And then like the road that you come to get onto into the house from like the main road. But in 1872, he did marry a woman named Elizabeth. They constructed a service building into the southeast of the kitchen. The newest addition to the house, it was a smokehouse, a wash house, a milk cooling room, a summer kitchen, and a search board. It is said that up one times Elizabeth had a miscarriage, but there is nothing to confirm that. If you go to where they buried at in the cemetery in Indianapolis, there is a child-sized headstone in between Hannah and Elizabeth. This tragic tale spawned the first of many tragic and many folklore tales of hauntings. The ghostly presence of a stillbirth child is in one of the upper bedrooms. By all accounts, Alexander and Elizabeth enjoyed a happy married life. Another was a I cannot read that. So he was really active in the Civil War. He wasn't in the Civil War, but he was really active about it. With hundreds of wooded acres around the home and scant population, Hannah could have operated a sanctuary for the fleeing slaves. Now, said that the other tragedy is that it happened during one rainy night while there were some slaves on the Underground Railroad because they're up in the attic. They would light a light when it was signaling, okay for you guys to come, okay, can't. So he had a basement full of slaves. And it is said that one night during the rain, while the slave waiting to move on to the next house, a slave knocked over the oil lantern and uh, the basement caught fire. And the slaves died from smoke inhalation. And so they couldn't actually flee. And then they couldn't make it known that the house was on fire. So they passed away. And unable to give them a proper burial at the time, Mr. Hanna had the slaves buried underneath of the floor because it was all like dirt. Now Mr. Hanna did own slaves himself, but they were family. They weren't treated as slaves. They actually had a very luxurious life. Um, it's just Mr. Hanna had to treat them like slaves. So they all they died from smoke inhalation and burns. And with the regular history, something I normally don't do, but you all know it's my show. I'm gonna revamp it a little bit and hopefully be able to mix the paranormal so that way it all stays in line so nobody's guessing what I'm talking about. And when they did pass away and he had them buried in the basement so he also cover up the fact that he was part of the Underground Railroad so he didn't want it known because obviously being part of the Underground Railroad back then was not okay when you were up here in the north. So there is no actual active official record stating that this was true because, well, it was like illegal for the North to own a slave. So there's nothing said that this is true. But people have said that they've heard the faint uh, screams of the the slaves, and also when you're down in the basement, people have said they can smell like smoke and something burning. And also, still not categorically proven, current day neighbors have reportedly discovered partially collapsed tunnels with that whose trajectory would indicate an association with the Hannah property. If it was ever verified, would perhaps lend some credited to the Underground Railroad stories. Now, Hannah's wife, Elizabeth, did sadly pass away in 1888, leaving Hannah a widower. In 1890, now they were both laid to rest at the Crown Hill Cemetery, and without having a heir to the property, So in this return made the Hannah House lay dormant until 1899. He's a Civil War veteran who also owns, oh, sorry, that's the name of Roman O'Hiller bought the house with the 21 acres surrounding the property. He was a Civil War veteran who also owned a very good jewelry business in the area. He replaced the porch on the front of the house with a wider one of concrete. Also, several outbuildings, which they still stand today, were constructed. The daughter of Roman, uh, elder Romana, and her husband were the third owners of the house, living in it until 1962. Now, the ghost stories about the house in the 1960s. The house was in by the O'Briens from 1968 to 1978. They also had an antique business that they ran from the house itself. So, with that being said, they had an antique business. Antiques. We all associate today. You bring an antique in your house and you start having paranormal activity happen. What did they bring into their home that could have? There's no telling. House, there's no telling. Like, there's no telling. Nothing at all because you have an antique business. You're running out of a house that was already tragedy after tragedy after tragedy struck. You know, so so that's when the claims started, though, is when they started running this business out of the house. So who knows what kind of activity is actually going on there, and no one's just saying it, or anybody's like saying, okay, we're going to document this, because not a lot of places, like, I know a lot of teams do document their evidence, and they do try to show, hey, yes, but like, what activity is like reported to be the Hannahs and or something brought in from these antiques that were in the house? If saying there was something attached, because you never know, right? Right. Okay. I hurt my ankle the other day, and it still hurts, and I can't put no weight on it. But anyway, people have cold spots, foul smells, um, flying spoons, doors and wall hangings, had a mind of their own, disembodied voices, etc. So in '78, the hen house was listed on the recognized historical landmark U.S. Department of it was the haunted house. They do it every year. Prophets house manifestations of self can be seen on the second floor in the bedroom. She can create both awful just get in there and get into the side door. Get me one of my Mountain Dews, please. Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm back. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. Okay, but anyway, I'm back. So, and a lot of noises can be heard ranging from voices to footsteps in that area. So, like I said, was it somebody going up there to light a candle, a lantern, or whatever they lit to let their slaves know? Hey, by the way, house is open. Come on, we can get you to safety. Because I only had a little bit left before. They cold spots have been felt in when there is no source of cold spots. We all can say a cold spot can happen anywhere, anytime. And then I know when being in the jail and investigating and actually going to the house, like the Hannah house itself, I have literally felt cold spots in that house. I have pictures of orbs, like I have caught orbs from my very first time of going. My equipment has went off. So Mr. Hannah has made appearances himself. He loved that house. So he's probably checking on him and are you messing my house up? Okay. I don't like this. This is gonna happen because somebody would come to my house after I passed away and be like, I'm changing this, this, and this, and this. And I was dead and I was still visiting my home. I wouldn't like it. I know none of y'all would like it, right? No, you wouldn't like it. It's all good. I'm tired. But you gotta have fun. So, there's still some noises being heard, like I said, around the basement area. And is it, you know, the slaves that were there that haven't left yet because they don't realize that they are dead and um, uh, but anyway, yeah. Back to what I was originally talking. Wait, what? What about your mom? Well, she won't. I don't know your mom. But anyway, back to what I was originally talking about. Um, the shit that's actually happened. You know, be nice to each other. Don't just get and you get upset as a person is going and doing their own. No, don't do that. If that's the case, then just leave it alone. Just leave them alone. Don't even ask them. Don't even entertain the idea of asking them to join your team. Well, if you're just going to get upset, I told you guys something I used to be on, reposted my video, but I had a panic attack because of a childhood trauma that I had from clowns at Perry Unity this year. I didn't make it all about me because it's not all about me. It wasn't all about me. Perry Unity, when we hear Perry Unity, originally that event was for us to come together, put our decide together and show the public, everybody else, hey, look, we got differences, but yeah, we can be in the same room together. And it really means what it means. And I was the host this year. I'm not knocking the event. I'm not knocking anything because I would never do that because that right there is not how I do things. But like I said, tonight's show is going to be different because he pushed me over the edge, and he knew about the fear. I honestly, I have cut ties with them over and over because, like I said, I chose to see the good in people, and that's me, but not no more. Because at the end of the day, my well being is more important than being friends with somebody like that. Because if you're going to sit there and be that malicious to literally go through and to push them over the so I won't do it no more. And I honestly I didn't want to really pair unity, but it's pair because the OGs of pair unity. I have been there with pair unity for 4 years now, and it has gotten away from what it was supposed to be about. So I'm sorry, I don't remember. Honestly, that day, by the door by the church. And then it was Mindless Adventures with Spitefall, I think is what it was. Should say. Yes, mommy. And if you were there, feel free to what are your TikTok on? J Boob. Uh-huh. I have no idea. Scratch. Out my door you'd go. Out the other side from the corner right after you did. So you bought I figured this out because I have no
I'm gonna call mom. I think I'm just gonna go to the gas station. Who? I know. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. I'm tired. Oh. Store where I bought it. Oh, wait, I remember because you said something about you kept telling him that you were gonna buy. It was because she said, "Oh,
What you do? What happened?
oh no."
You go to the end.
So you were with like grandma and grandpa's creations, correct? One of the girls wanted my item you had. And what item? Your item that I.
What item? It's an item I'm just gonna run to the gas station.
Oh, I remember you because Sha. Is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Because
How long? Did you leave for from Walmart? Text me your pin to your phone. And do you want me to buy the girls like a fountain or something?
that was on the table or in the commercial.
I switched it because I noticed I messed up and then I switched it.
And he was the one that. Give me 1 second and we'll talk. Alright, guys. Since this keeps going in and out, just remember tonight's show and then next week is our show. You're gonna have to like get a hold of Craig for that one, honey. When the time comes. Oh. Give me 1 second, sweetheart. Alright, guys, like I said, next week is our last show. The week before my investigation, I will make a, just so you know, it's probably going to be a pre-recorded. Okay, I will have to see if I can find it. And I will let them know for sure, but I will let somebody know. Because I gave them all the right information. I have no idea